The alarm tore through the palace at 3 in the morning, and I was already running before I understood why. My name is Daniel Ashford, and I am a soldier from Earth, stationed on Velcara Prime as part of the small human unit attached to the Royal Guard. We were not trusted with much. Most days, we stood at outer checkpoints while the real guards, tall insectoid Velcarans with silver-plated skin, watched over anything that mattered. But that night, the screaming coming from the throne wing told me something had gone terribly wrong, and it had gone wrong at the very center of the palace. I reached the private hall just as 2 guards dragged a cloaked figure to the floor. The assassin twisted once, then went still, a self-destruct toxin already working through his body. Nobody would be questioning him. Past the guards, through an open door, I saw her. Queen Talvira Sen lay on the marble floor, her attendants crowded around her, their long fingers trembling as they tried to hold her still. Her skin, normally a deep violet, had turned a sickly gray. A thin trail of blood ran from the corner of her mouth. She was gasping, her chest rising in short, panicked bursts. I had seen combat. I had seen soldiers die, but I had never seen someone poisoned in front of me, and something about the stillness in that room, beneath all the noise, made my stomach turn cold. The royal physician, a thin Velcaran named Dr. Orson, pushed through the crowd with a scanner in his hand. He ran it over the queen's chest, and his antennae, which usually stayed upright and calm, dropped flat against his skull. That was not a good sign. On Velcare, that meant fear. The toxin is rewriting itself, he said, mostly to himself. Every time we try to counter it, it changes shape. Another physician arrived, then another. Within minutes, the room was full of the Empire's best medical minds, and none of them had an answer. They tried 3 different antitoxins pulled from the palace vault. Each one failed. The queen's breathing grew weaker with every passing minute. I should not have still been standing there. A low-ranking human soldier had no business inside the royal medical chamber, but nobody told me to leave, and I did not want to leave. I stood near the wall, watching helplessly as one of the most powerful people in the galaxy slipped closer to death, and the doctors around her ran out of ideas. "We have tried every registered blood compound in the archive," Dr. Orson said, his voice cracking. "Volcarian plasma, Threxian serum, even the exotic compounds from the outer colonies. Nothing binds to this toxin. It adapts to every species we throw at it." A younger physician, a woman named Ilsa Wren, stepped forward. She looked exhausted, her eyes wide with the kind of desperation that comes from watching a losing battle. "There is one species left," she said, "one we have never properly tested." Every head in the room turned toward her. "The humans," she said. "Their biology was never fully catalogued. We assumed it was similar enough to the others not to matter. But if this toxin adapts to known chemistries, an unknown one might be exactly what it cannot predict." Dr. Orson's antennae twitched, caught somewhere between doubt and hope. "It is a long shot. Human blood has never even been tested against Velcaran illness, let alone something engineered to kill a queen." "We have no other option," Ilsa said. "She has less than an hour." That was when Dr. Orson's eyes landed on me. I felt every gaze in the room shift toward me at once, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. "Soldier," Orson said. "What is your name?" "Daniel Ashford, sir." "Are you willing to give a blood sample? It may do nothing. It may even be dangerous for you. I cannot promise anything." I did not hesitate. Not because I was brave, but because hesitating felt worse than the risk itself. "Take what you need." They moved fast after that. A nurse pressed a needle into my arm, and within seconds, a vial of dark red blood was rushed to a small analysis chamber in the corner of the room. I stood there, my heart pounding, watching a screen full of symbols I could not read, while the queen's breathing grew shallower behind me. The seconds stretched unbearably. Dr. Orson stared at the readout, his antennae completely still now, and I could not tell if that meant good news or the end of everything. Then his eyes widened. "It is binding," he said, almost in disbelief. "The compound is binding to the toxin." Ilsa rushed to his side and stared at the same screen. "The antibodies are attacking it directly. I have never seen a reaction like this." "Human blood carries defenses against things it has never even encountered," Orson said. more to the room than to anyone in particular. It is chaotic, unpredictable, exactly what this toxin cannot adapt to. Can you make a full treatment from it? Someone asked. We do not have time to synthesize a full compound, Orson said. We need a direct transfusion, now, while the antibodies are still active. That was when the room turned to me again. I had given blood before, back on Earth, for training exercises and medical drills. I never imagined it would end with me lying on a table beside an alien queen, tubes connecting my arm to hers, doctors shouting instructions in a language I only half understood. This has never been attempted between species, Orson warned me. There could be side effects, for both of you. She's dying either way, I said. Do it. The next few minutes blurred together. I remember the pinch of the needle, the strange pull in my arm, as my blood moved through the tube, and the tightening tension in the room, as everyone watched the Queen's vital signs on the monitor above her. At first, nothing changed. Her breathing stayed shallow, her skin stayed gray, and I began to wonder if we had made a terrible mistake. Then the monitor beeped, once, sharp and sudden. Her heart rate is stabilizing, Ilsa said, her voice rising with disbelief. The gray in the Queen's skin began to fade, replaced slowly by the deep violet I had seen on posters and coins since the day I arrived on this planet. Her breathing deepened, no longer short and desperate, but steady, controlled. The toxin is breaking down, Orson said. It is losing its structure. I have never seen anything like this. A wave of relief passed through the room, physicians embracing each other, guards lowering their weapons for the first time since the alarm had sounded. I lay there on the table, drained and dizzy, watching the Queen's eyes slowly flutter open. She looked confused at first, staring up at the ceiling, then at the crowd of relieved faces around her. Then her gaze drifted toward me, still connected to her by a thin tube, and something in her expression shifted from confusion to quiet astonishment. What happened? She asked, her voice hoarse but steady. Dr. Orson stepped forward, bowing slightly. Your Majesty, you were poisoned. We exhausted every known treatment. In the end, it was human blood that saved you. The Queen's eyes stayed on me for a long moment. I felt strange under that gaze, not because it was hostile, but because it was full of something I had not expected to see directed at a low-ranking soldier like me. Respect. Human blood, she repeated softly, as if testing the words. We assumed your kind was fragile. Simple. With respect, Your Majesty, I said, my voice weaker than I wanted it to be. We get that a lot. A small, tired smile crossed her face, the first sign of her usual composure returning. Remind me never to underestimate your species again. They disconnected the tubes carefully, and a nurse helped me sit up, my head spinning from the blood loss. Dr. Orson checked my vitals with visible concern, running his scanner over my chest, the same way he had done for the Queen. You will need rest, he said. But your body seems to be recovering quickly, faster than I expected. We heal fast, I said. Another thing people don't expect from us. By morning, word of what had happened spread through the entire palace, then through the city, then across half the planet. Reports said a Velcaran doctor described human biology as unpredictable, in ways no one on the council had considered before. Officials who once treated our unit as an afterthought suddenly wanted to know everything about human medicine, human biology, human anything. I was called before the Royal Council 2 days later, still a little pale from the blood loss, still not fully sure how a routine night shift had turned into the reason an entire species' reputation had changed overnight. The Queen sat at the head of the chamber, fully recovered, her violet skin glowing with health again. She looked at me the way someone looks at a puzzle they are only beginning to understand. You saved my life without hesitation, she said. You did not know if it would work. You did not know if it would harm you. Why? I thought about it for a moment before answering. Where I come from, we don't wait to be sure before we help someone. We just help. Figuring out how we did it comes later. A murmur passed through the council chamber, some of it confusion, some of it quiet approval. The Queen studied me a moment longer, then nodded slowly. Then perhaps it is time the rest of the galaxy learned what your species is capable of. I left the chamber that day still a low-ranking soldier on paper, But something about the way people looked at me in the halls had changed. Guards who once ignored our unit now nodded as I passed. Physicians requested meetings to study human biology further. Even the other soldiers in my unit walked a little taller. I never set out to prove anything that night. I only did what felt right in the moment, the same as anyone would. But sometimes, that is exactly the kind of blood a galaxy needs.